Putting off replacing your window treatments because you think it's complicated? At Blinds.com, we spent 30 years proving it doesn't have to be. And right now, our Spring Black Friday sale makes it easier than ever. Whether you want to DIY it or have a pro to handle everything from measure to install, we've got you. Free samples, real design experts, and zero pressure. Just help when you need it. Shop up to 45% off site-wide. Huge savings on doorbusters. Plus a free professional measure now during the Blinds.com Spring Black Friday sale. Rules and restrictions apply.
Marketing geeks. You know, when I was young, I used to market at garage sales and on the streets. But now, after listening to Marketing Geeks, the #1 podcast on iTunes, I'm marketing online.
You know, when I was young, I used to market the old-fashioned way. I sold audio tapes out of my trunk of my car. That was back during my rap days. But now I'm a successful businessman. Thank you, Marketing Geeks.
Billy Mays here with Marketing Geeks, telling you that this is the greatest show on the internet today. and with that,
I love it.
With that, welcome to Marketing Geeks.
Hi, everyone.
We are.
Hey, I heard we're up to 8 listeners. We're 7 last time we did our podcast, and we're up to 8 now.
We're breaking through.
Yeah,
that
but
glass
you know what
ceiling,
happened? Huh? We had one of them drop off, so we're back down to 7.
Oh shoot! Huh.
I know.
I was so hopeful.
I know. It's the way it goes. That's life in the big city.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Pepsi Prebiotic Cola in original and cherry vanilla. That Pepsi taste you love with no artificial sweeteners and 3 grams of prebiotic fiber. Pepsi Prebiotic Cola. Unbelievably Pepsi.
So, Gwendolyn,
Yeah.
fashionably chic.
The
Where
fashionably
are
chic.
you? Where are you in the world today?
Where are you today?
Oh, you know what? I left London. I had a really smoking hot fun time in London. Other than the whole story about the guy and the nails. So if you didn't get our last episode, if you didn't listen, please go back and listen to what happened to me in a London bar. I thought I was going to end up in the London dungeon, but I left London, and some of my girlfriend Jenna was there, and she was like really pumped because she's a soccer fan. Football fan. And I'm not at all. Like, I love football, American football, but I know nothing about soccer. They didn't have it in the community I live in growing up. So I said to her, what do you mean? Where do you want to go? And she said, let's go to Paris. I said, what? She said, let's go to Paris. And, let's see what happens. Let's be there when France wins the World Cup. And I said, what's the World Cup? So she filled me in, and I know what the Stanley Cup is, and we laughed a lot, and I actually had the best time at this bar. I've been there a few nights in a row, called the Moose. Okay. And it's funny because, you think I would go to a bar in Paris that has this nice Parisian sound and, the language of the most romantic language in the world. I think I just love French. No bigger turn on, guys out there. Okay. And the issue became, we found this bar that was so stinking fun. And it was a sports bar called the Moose. So we spent a couple nights partying there, had the best time. And I can tell you, Jenna did meet a man who turned out to be someone who he was really not. He told her he was this millionaire and that we were going to go back to his place. Well, long story short, after we finished pre-gaming at the hotel, we end up at the Moose. Again, the second night, he meets us there. She's, had drinks with him 2 nights in a row. And we end up going to his mansion, only to find that there wasn't a toothbrush there.
Did you have a bag full of fingernails?
No, there was no garbage there. I mean, I'm just glad I was with her because, just because he had a really sexy, hot French accent did not mean he was the real deal. So I immediately knew that this guy was a fraud. He was a phony. He Airbnb'd this mansion for I don't know how long, a week maybe. He was doing what he could to pick up chicks. And as soon as I was onto it, I wanted to tell her. But then the doorbell rang. So this woman comes in and she's like talking to me in French. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I can only understand bits and pieces of what you're saying. I'm more familiar with Quebec wa French from Montreal, but, speak to me slowly and I might be able to understand what you're saying. She goes, oh, I speak English. I'm like, oh, cool. What's going on? And she said, who's the fucking woman with my man? And I said, what are you talking about? And like, she really got pissed off. And I said, what do you mean? She goes, I've been in Cuba for a month and, I don't know where they met and blah, 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 but I was there on business and blah, blah. And I was like, holy shit. She's like, he's my person. And she broke down and started crying. So I ran upstairs. I look at Jenna. I'm like, Jenna, they were like kissing. That was it. I was like, we got to get the hell out of here now. And she's like, oh no, not again. I'm like, yeah, this is not his mansion. He Airbnb'd it and his girlfriend's downstairs. So we took off and I'm back in the hotel in Paris. And I think I'm going to be heading to a new city tomorrow. I'm buying a plane ticket and I will be telling you about a new adventure. I don't have any work here. That's the problem. I can't stay here any longer because I didn't have any connections. It was just spur of the moment. Let's get on a plane. Let's go to France because they're playing football. And when they win the, what is it called? The World Cup. Yeah. We want to be there. We want to party with the World Cuppers. So that's what we did. We had a great time.
Yeah, they go crazy for the World Cup overseas. I mean, there's like riots and everything with the World Cup win. And over here, I grew up in California, and I could care less about soccer. But I guess it's, I guess we grew up in California. I grew up watching football, Americano with the 49ers and those kind of teams. And I guess, people riot over that stuff too. It's kind of ridiculous, but grown people still riot over teams winning or teams losing. It's somewhat humorous, but what we can talk about here is how people are faking being rich and using that. Again, we talk about influence tactics. So we could, online, this happens a lot too. We have people that are, taking their photos in front of mansions. They're pretending to be on trips they're not really on. They're doing all this to help sell their stuff online. And Andros knows all about that.
That's right. Because although I keep telling people that I am in the Netherlands, I'm actually in my mother's basement in Hoboken, New Jersey.
Hey, you gave away your biggest secret.
Not Hoboken. They have the Cake Boss there. I love the Cake Boss.
That's cool. Cake Boss.
You know what I have to tell you though?
Yeah. I
am a little bit disappointed. I would, even though I don't watch, European football or soccer, as we call it in the US, I kind of was rooting for Croatia because I am so intrigued by their president. She's 50 years old. Her name is Kolinda. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right. I have no idea how to pronounce her two last names, but she is like just this rocking superstar for women in leadership. And I love her. And I kind of wanted Croatia to win. They were the underdogs all the way. And I just thought, it'd be so cool for this woman, this female president, to have this like huge win in the world. So I was rooting for them, but I ended up.
It's just a sports win, though. It's so overplayed. I mean, it really, like, it shouldn't really matter that your sports team wins in terms of like developing, a national fever or whatever.
Here's the thing. Let me tell you this, Justin. I wouldn't have even known who Kolinda was. And many people around the world, who are reading the New York Times and they're talking about her, nobody would even know who she is. Who's Googling Croatian president, finding out it's a woman. So, her being on the center stage like that, I thought was pretty cool. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, there's truth. There's definitely truth to the fact that the World Cup brings attention that wouldn't normally be there. And if you speaking of movies, we love movies here, right? There's a movie called Invictus. There's probably a book based on it too. And it's a true story about Nelson Mandela using like the rugby world championships to draw attention to his causes. And so it's there's truth. It shouldn't be that way, but it is. And whatever you can use to leverage attention, and that's marketing, though, right? We're leveraging where there's already attention, and then we're using it to promote our cause. So good for the Croatian president to bring attention to herself because of the soccer team over in
And congratulations, of course, to the Parisians for winning the World Cup. And what's really interesting, especially my position over here, is that I'm currently doing marketing for a Dutch software company, and that is at lunch. That is what they talk about is football, and they talk about it in Dutch, and my Dutch is like piss poor to begin with. So then that I can kind of pick up some things.
So is your English, by the way.
Yeah, but that's because of my learning disability. What's up with that? Why you gotta go there?
Sorry, just picking.
So anyway, but what's funny is trying to fit in is always hard here, because not only do I have to deal with the fact that I don't follow football, but then the conversation usually devolves around some sort of player that was with a team in 2010. He did this thing, and I was,
Andros,
yes.
Listen, maybe you don't follow football per se, but you do follow beautiful women. I know that. So why didn't you bring up Colinda?
Because she never showed up on my Tinder profile. I was never able to swipe one way or another.
The truth is out.
Maybe if she gets on Tinder, then I'll know who she is,
Yeah, okay, I got it. We have a great show planned for you today. I have no idea what it is because I've been too busy partying at the Moose in Pevy. But what are we talking about tonight, fellas?
Well, this is part 3 of our LinkedIn Mastery precursor. And for those of you who don't know, Justin and I and Gwendolyn are all going to be present for the LinkedIn Mastery course. You can go into linkedinmasterycourse.com and you can register there, and it is completely free.
That sounds good. And I should go to that.
I just need to tell you something, though. Yeah. Andros, I don't know if you have a learning disability or not, but I'm going to tell the fans what you emailed me. Andros emails me, and he knows I'm away. I'm not checking my emails every 5 seconds, like most chicks do. And he emails me and he says, "Are you available August 1st? Are you going to participate with us in the LinkedIn masturbation course?"
I did not.
I know.
You were.
I know it was like an auto.
Do you have a record of this? Andros would never say that. He would never say that.
No. It was an email. So I messaged him back, and he said, "Oh, freaking autocorrect." And I'm like, you can't spell mastery. That was the joke last time, that Justin was going to actually buy the other URL, right?
Hold on, because I'm gonna check that and see in my. Hold on.
Yeah. Andros, go ahead and get on autocorrect right now and see if you can get it to do that.
Because he couldn't spell mastery, and then he put masturbation, and I was just like, oh my God, a LinkedIn masturbation course. I was laughing so hard, I almost, I leaked a little bit of pee. I leaked.
My bad. That happened.
See? Oh my God, Justin. It's too funny, isn't it? I can't make this shit up.
So whatever you do, don't go to the LinkedIn masturbation course.com. That is not what we're doing here, folks. It is not what we're doing.
No. But I had to tell our 7 listeners, because it is funny, and you joked about having a learning disability, and I'm starting to believe it when you start sending me things like that and not reading it. I think that's an important marketing thing. I mean, Justin did a great show and talked about copy and copyright, and you've got to go back and you've got to do spell check.
You know what? That's why God created Grammarly. I'm sorry, but that's
Okay.
Spell check does make a fool out of me.
Gotcha.
But so here's the thing. We are doing the LinkedIn Mastery course, and in this course, we are going to show everybody how to get a master LinkedIn profile. So it will get you leads for sales. It will get you jobs if you're looking for a job, get you a better job if you don't like the job you already have. This is a free service that we are giving to everybody. And it is all you have to do is go to linkedinmasterycourse.com and sign up. And it is going to be August 1st. We would love to see you there. And we want to do this because LinkedIn is my favorite social network, and it has gotten me jobs. It has gotten me very good connections with people. It has accelerated my career. I now have, I'm creeping up on 8,000 connections at this very moment in time. 8,000. And so it, and my sphere of influence is growing. Thank you, LinkedIn.
I remember when I used to have 8,000 connections. That was a long time ago. I think I'm at 11,000 now. Is that
Are you
right?
really?
It's at 11.
Are you really?
Yeah, you better believe it. You better
I don't know
believe
if I
it.
believe
Go look
it.
at. Go check it out. Go verify.
We were neck and neck for a second there, but
is this a competition?
Yes.
If this is a competition, I am losing.
It's not the size of your network that matters. It's what you can do with the network.
It's how you use it. So let's actually get into some real LinkedIn topics here today. I know we're having a good time, but I do want to cover some content. So for those 5 listeners that are here for the content, we can deliver some value, and then for the other 2, they've already gotten some good nuggets here. But today we're going to talk about how you can leverage LinkedIn using articles, and that's one of the strategies. We're going to cover a number of different things, but the one I want to start with is LinkedIn is actually a publishing platform on top of just a social network. So it's not just a social network of business, but it's also a publishing platform. So if you're writing a blog or you have a blog on your website, you can actually take those articles and you can publish them directly to LinkedIn. You'll get real-time analytics. And what Andros has done masterfully with using these articles is he uses them to leverage into conversations. So too many people go out there and they private message with their target market or their business owners or hiring managers, and they go out there and they private message looking for value for them right away. So you'll see this where people will message you and they'll say, look, I'm offering an SEO course, blah, 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 buy it, before I even know who they are, before they've even established any kind of relationship. But instead, if you lead with value, you're more likely to start a conversation, which can then blossom into a sale later on. Sales don't happen on the first contact with somebody, maybe at like a 0.0025% type of range, but really you have to build the relationship first. And Andres, were you going to say something?
Yeah, so let me give you kind of break down exactly how I did this, because this is kind of an interesting story. So for those of you who were listening last week, I kind of went over how I grew my network here in the Netherlands and leveraged that network to get myself a pretty nice job right when I landed. And if you haven't heard that, you go back and listen to it. It's very entertaining, if I do say so myself. We were so entertaining, weren't we, guys? So entertaining.
So entertaining.
And so one of the things that happened was I was getting interviewed by the CEO of the company. And one of the things I wanted to do was I was looking for kind of holes in their marketing, like things that they were not doing that they could have benefited from. And one of the things I noticed was that this particular product was geared towards students, and what they were not doing with this company, and they just had a huge round of investments. They were growing like crazy, and what they did not do is they did not grow their investment or grow their populace base by doing real world interactions. And what I mean by that is that there are what they call hotspots, where companies will set up, say, a location with their logo on it and make it Instagrammable. So if somebody takes that photo, that logo would be in the background. So I went to a festival with my 2-year-old son, and I took him to this festival called Lightning in a Bottle. And I noticed that there was a beer company that had done this. They had set up like this game that was like a giant skeet ball with basketballs, and they put their logo all over it. So people would be filming it and taking pictures of themselves and Instagramming it. And every time you took a picture of it, their logo would show up in the background. So Justin and I talk about this thing called the rule of 7, which is in order for someone to convert to your idea or concept or marketing platform, whatever that is, they've got to be exposed to it at least 7 times. And this was perfect. This is like one of those 7 times where they are basically, this beer company set this Instagrammable moment up. So the people who would come and Instagram it would be broadcasting their logo to all of their followers. Anyway, so here's what I did. I wanted to mention this to the CEO, but
now, why don't we clarify? So you took your 2-year-old to a festival? I mean, really?
Oh, hell yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I really did. Yeah. He's older now. He's 4, but I took him to Burning Man. I took when he was a year and a half. I took him to Burning Man. He still talks about it. I'm going to take him back.
I mean, I'm now 35 years old and I haven't been to Burning Man yet, so I feel like I'm missing a life experience that that little Khalil has already.
Well,
had.
you know what? We're all going.
No place I will ever go.
No, you're going.
I will never go.
You're going. You're gonna go to a bar with us. You're gonna take a few drinks. You're gonna wake up. You'll be at Burning Man, and that's it. You'll be there. There's nothing you can do about it. You're kidnapped.
And you cannot use this as evidence later on.
I quit drinking yesterday.
You say that
at 8 p.m.
Right. Well, that's great. What's
did.
Gonna be?
I started drinking at noon. No, maybe it was 11. And at 8 p.m. I was hammered, and I said, I'm done. I'm never drinking again. And I have not had one drink today, just tea.
Congratulations on your 24 hours of sobriety.
Not quite 24, but we're getting there.
Yeah, we'll get you a chip soon enough. So wait, so here's what happened. So I wanted to kind of tell this to the CEO of this company that they were interviewing me to be like a chief marketing officer. And what happened was I didn't want to come across as like, hey, I think you guys should do this in the interview, because that would just be it would be a little tacky.
Pompous.
Pushy before.
So here's right.
Before they know who you are.
And I was still in the running. This is like when they were still like interviewing lots of people. So what I did was I went on LinkedIn and I wrote an article called "How I Partied with My 2-Year-Old." And I basically wrote the article talking about this particular thing and how this company had set up these Instagrammable moments. And I felt that this company I was interviewing for could do the exact same thing. So I wrote the article, and then I reached out to the CEO and some of the other, like the HR managers, some of the other people for the company. And I said, hey, I wrote this article. I think you might find it interesting. And I sent it off to them. And the very next day, they called me for a final interview. And so the moral to the story is, instead of bugging them and saying how, like, with a bit of puffery about how great I am for the position, even though I knew I would be, what I did instead was I gave them something valuable, some valuable information that was more of like, hey, I wrote this and I thought of you after I wrote it. Take a look at it and tell me what you think. So this is something that you can do with LinkedIn, where you can leverage one of the things that's built into LinkedIn is they bought something called SlideShare. And SlideShare is basically like PowerPoint, but it's online and all the text is searchable and SEO'd. So for instance,
can you stop for just a second? Because
sure,
I know that you're the marketing geeks, but you use a lot of acronyms that I'm not familiar with. And I don't know that all of our aspiring 7 listeners know everything that you're talking about too. What's an S something O?
Okay, SEO stands for search engine optimization. And what search engine optimization is it's a way to optimize any type of content. So if someone Googles a particular keyword, that content will come up towards the top. And because I'm an SEO specialist and Justin is an SEO specialist, we can take any type of content and make it pop up towards the top of a search result.
On LinkedIn as well as Google. So SEO, when you hear it in the general standpoint, refers to Google search and getting your Google results on page 1. That's what you generally will think of with SEO. But in terms of LinkedIn, LinkedIn has its own search engine as well. So inside of LinkedIn, there's a way where if somebody searches marketing expert, or they search marketing director, or they search marketing in general, they that we can then get our profile to pop up ahead of other profiles because we're well SEO'd, meaning that we're ranking for that particular keyword that people are searching. And that's the goal in terms of, we want to be the top result when somebody is searching for what we do. We want to show up. So that's the goal with SEO in terms of LinkedIn.
So to basically show that you have a wealth of knowledge, because one of the things that you want to do is position yourself as an expert in your particular field, you can use the LinkedIn product called SlideShare, which is free, and you can create a SlideShare that basically goes over some sort of information, like 10 things you need to know about so-and-so, or 5 things that will help you, blah, 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 blah. And if you create a SlideShare, like a PowerPoint presentation about your area of expertise, it will also become search engine optimized. So if somebody is Googling that information, then there's a chance that that slide share will pop up towards the top and connect you to that person. So it just shows your area of expertise. And then you could take that slide share and you can share it with prospective clients. So this is a way, it's a methodology in which if you want to reach out to somebody on LinkedIn, like let's say you're looking for a new job or you're looking for a sales prospect, rather than just reaching out to someone on LinkedIn and saying, "Hey, I'd like you to check out my new thing," or do you have any interest in IT professionals? What would be far more interesting to me is if I were looking for an IT professional, someone wrote an article about 10 things to look for when you're looking for an IT professional. And if they gave me that article and private messaged me with that article, I would probably read it if it was interesting to me. And I would definitely reach out to that person if it touched a chord. Does that make sense?
No, Anders, what this also does though is we talked a little bit about authority building. When you authored an article, that builds more credibility and more authority for you and your brand. So the fact that you are the author of an article about marketing or about positioning and Instagram and how to kind of leverage Instagram for moments or photographic moments with the brand in it, that's going to help your cause. And the other thing is you're differentiating yourself from the competition. If you're the one that's posted an article and you're sharing it with a potential hiring manager or the potential client, then you're different than the competition. And when you're different than the competition, you have a leg up on them as well. So I like what you did. I think it's very, very, very smart. And again, it positions you ahead of the competition because now you are the authority on that information. And on top of that, your articles are SEO optimized as well. So if you want to get your profile to rank, the articles you write matter, the slide shares you create matter, the text in your profile matters. It all matters, and it all creates a stronger profile when you incorporate all of this together.
That's right. And not only that, there's one other aspect to this which is highly important, which is that LinkedIn will give you analytics. And Gwen, just so you know what analytics are, it's like data that tells you exactly who.
That was not an acronym. I know what analytics are,
Oh, okay.
But when you start putting different letters together, I struggle because, I am the fashionably chic, not the geek. So work with me just a little bit, baby. And by the end of this year, I will know all your crazy acronyms. I'm actually writing them down. I've got
Oh, really?
a list.
I've got one for you.
Okay.
F, U.
I got it. Farmingdale University. I have many friends who many friends graduated from Farmingdale University down by Long Island. Go farming. Yes.
Go farm yourself. So, so the analytics that pop up with your particular articles is really great because what it can do is you can start to see who's reading your articles. And so just looking at like the article I just mentioned called "How I Partied with My Toddler at a Wild Festival and Found My New Favorite Beer," right? I ended up seeing that I had different people from different organizations, which organizations looked at my article. And it looks like that some people even Google searched something and found my article through Google searching, probably because it was SEO'd for certain keywords. So this is handy because what you're able to do through this process is start to see, as you create content, who's looking at your content, what content is hitting, and where they're coming from. And this is a great way to really get yourself seen and become an authority or a thought leader in what your particular field of knowledge is.
When you have authority and when you're a thought leader, you never know where that's going to lead. I mean, just the fact that we built the LinkedIn Mastery course has resulted in me getting several speaking gigs for corporations that bring me in because they see that I created this course with Andros. They see that I kind of know what I'm talking about, and then they'll invite me in to give a keynote. So this kind of content and positioning, myself or yourself as an authority can lead to things that maybe you didn't even think of. So maybe you're the reason you created it was to try to acquire clients, but then down the road somebody sees it that then recommends you to somebody else to give a keynote talk. So there's the consequences of creating authority can be widespreading and they can be very useful for your business.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, it's just about getting yourself out there and getting seen. And, although LinkedIn doesn't have there are issues with LinkedIn as far as like how people use it. That's more the fault of the people who are using it because, and I'm sure everybody who's used LinkedIn can attest to this, that you get a private message from somebody, they want to connect with you, and the next thing you know, they're pitching their thing. I mean,
Constantly.
I'm just looking at the last messages I've gotten on. Oh my gosh. I got a woman who reached. I mean, this is kind of nice. She reached out to me recently and asked. She said, "Hey, I see that you're connected to this other person, and I'm launching a podcast. Will you listen to it?" And she gave me the podcast, but then she did something really interesting. She says, "I'd like to get some practical advice about marketing, and possibly get you as a guest on my podcast." That's smart because she's done two things. Number one, she's a great lead-in. She's promoted her podcast, number one. She's asked me to be a guest. I don't know if I will be or not. I could connect with her, and I may not be right for her. But even if I am on that podcast, if she puts me on there for 5 minutes, you bet that I'm going to be sharing that podcast with other people. So the moral to this story is, guys, we need to get some people, heavy influencers on our podcast. Who do you know?
Well, this goes to the idea of creating influence by borrowing other people's tribes or other people's access. And if we talk about one of the things one of my mentors talks a lot about is he'll ask the question to an audience. He'll say, "Who's the most powerful woman in the world?" And what would you say to that? Who's the most powerful woman in the world? Go ahead, Andres or Gwen. What would you say?
Gwendolyn.
Are you talking about the most powerful woman that ever lived, or the most powerful woman right now?
I'm talking about who's the most right now. Who's the most powerful
Gwendolyn.
woman in the world?
It's Gwendolyn.
Yeah, I'm going to say Oprah Winfrey.
I'm going to say that's the president of Croatia.
Croatia. Nice. I like that. But yes, the point of the story is that usually within the first 3 or 4 guesses, somebody's going to say Oprah. And the reason that's important is because we can look and we can model what Oprah Winfrey has done to create her tribe. And one of the things that she's done is there's a bit of a formula to what she's done, and it's her prestige plus her guest prestige plus the bringing on her guest listeners to her show. So every time she has a new guest on her show, or what she used to when she was building the Oprah show, she would have somebody that has a big influence. She would bring them on the show, and she would bring their audience along with them. And so as she was basically the hub, and she's bringing in all these different people that are bringing in their tribes, and it's a win-win for everyone. But ultimately, Oprah is the one that's continuing to build the most clout because she's reaching out to guest after guest after guest, and she's bringing in their tribes, right?
And she gave away free books. I loved it. Free cars
on one episode at least.
You know, it was awesome. There's always like a free book. That's why, I liked her. She was a reader.
So she led with tremendous value. So she has, number one, she's established that she has her own listener base. And then number two, she would have somebody come on the show and bring on new listeners. And it's a win-win for everybody. But in doing so, she built up her brand much bigger than her guest. Her guest would get a good chunk of it.
I give her a call, Justin. She and I have a mutual friend.
Model, so if you can get Oprah on the show, that's wonderful. But we're talking also about just modeling what she's done.
Okay.
And in terms of podcasting, if we bring on influencers, bringing on guests with big networks, and then having them share the show, that's a great way of building your network. And in turn, you're borrowing that person's rapport they have with their audience. They're putting it onto you, and all of a sudden you're building yourself as a big brand leader.
So would you guys be surprised, like totally surprised, if I had my people call Oprah's people and she actually did a podcast with us?
Yes.
Yes. We would be very surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised if they called. I'd be surprised if she actually did a podcast with us, yes. Especially if she listened to our other podcast episodes in advance.
Yeah. Can you imagine if she was one of our 7 listeners? That would be crazy.
Listen,
cool.
I'm not going to lie to you, but there is a possibility, though it be slim, that I can make this happen.
All right. Well, we'll hold you to that.
And we're going to take you up on that.
And you know what?
And you're going to break the hearts of all 7 of our listeners if you don't come through now. Yeah. So remember that.
I didn't make any promises, but I'm going to check into it. My people will get a hold of her people, and I'll see what we can do. Even if she gives us 5 minutes.
Who would be the second person? If you can't get Oprah, who can you get?
Well, up until recently, most people would say Hillary Clinton, and now that's it's still that was the answer before the election. And,
are you out there, Gwendolyn? Are you choking on something?
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'd say Ellen DeGeneres. Ellen DeGeneres is probably number 3 now because she's kind of taken Oprah's spot.
That's true. That's true. Gwendolyn, how do you really feel about Hillary Clinton? Don't hold back. Tell us your true feelings. Hello? Are you there?
Okay, we got him.
I'm sorry.
Moving on.
I'll be back in 5. I need to run to the bathroom.
So, Gwendolyn, can you get us Ellen DeGeneres if Oprah falls through?
Yeah, my people don't know Ellen's people. I do have a mutual connection with Oprah, though.
Okay. All right. Well, she lives close to where I live. We're only like a half hour away from each other because she's in Montecito. I'm over in Camarillo. It's pretty close. So I'm sure she wants to just come over here and record at the house. She's welcome. You
know somebody who knows somebody who knew her dog breeder.
No. I can't tell you how I met this mutual person because it's not something I want the listeners to know. But he was hot, and anyway,
Was it Kevin Costner because he lives in Santa Barbara? It must have been Kevin Costner.
No. Okay, it was a producer. Okay, it was the producer who.
Dr. Phil.
No,
Dr. Phil is hot.
Harvey Weinstein.
It was the producer.
Harvey Weinstein.
A producer who's not someone anybody knows, who's behind the scenes.
He was a producer who offered me a movie role for some favors. It never really pulled through, but that's what happened.
Well, we did talk about my interview with QVC, right?
That's right.
In Westchester, Pennsylvania.
We did.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Let's
what about Lisa? What's her name? What's Lisa from the QVC show? Lisa Grainer, is that her name? Or the one from QVC, the one that's on Shark Tank? What's her name?
I can't remember. I don't watch Shark Tank. Oh, Lisa's beautiful though. I met her, but when I was
be a good guest, also we'll take her.
She's pretty, yeah. But Mary Beth Rowe, Marie Osmond, Joan Rivers, God bless her soul. I mean, these are all people that I got to know, and so that was pretty fun. So anyway, I have some connections, and I'll do what I can do, and I can't tell you about the fella that I slept with that knows Oprah, but I can tell you that I do have a mutual connection.
Was it a Baldwin brother?
I think you're close, buddy.
Tell me it was Steven.
I can't tell you. I swore to secrecy. He said to me, "You need to take this to the grave, baby." And I said, "I will take it to the grave, but someday I may have to use this if I need to get to Oprah." So
I hate to brag, but I once met Emilio Estevez, and I know that's he's one of the top stars in the world today.
Yeah,
but we also share the same birthday, me and Emilio.
Wow.
So,
when is your birthday, Justin? I always send out presents.
It's May the 12th. So next year it's going to fall on Mother's Day. So the first year that my wife will be celebrating Mother's Day will also be my birthday, which is so awesome.
That is so special. Oh, wow. That just warms
so now,
the cockles of my
we
heart.
are digressing back to LinkedIn because that's the main thing. If you want to connect.
But I think you made the point. You made the point of having to make these connections. And when you connect with some powerful people, it puts you at a higher stake in the game.
It does. And
yeah. And LinkedIn is a good spot. LinkedIn's a good spot to connect. Leading. I think leading to ask somebody to be on a podcast is still a little too forward, but it's you're getting into the right territory because there's still some value for both people. But that's something that's a good lead in. Ultimately, is I want to find some guests for my podcast. You look like you're a well-connected person. You have some great content. I'd love to have you on the show. So that's a good lead in, but it's a little.
Andros,
there's still got to be a little more rapport built in.
Has she seen you in person, and does she realize that your LinkedIn picture looks nothing like what you look like in person? Maybe she was just trying to, hook up a date or something. You really need to update your picture to match your age.
I do kind of look like Jojo the dog face boy in person. That is.
So click the link in the summary to see what Andros looks like now.
But you know what? If you want to see what I do look like now, all you need to do is just simply go to the LinkedIn Mastery course on August 1st because you'll be able to.
You'll be live.
I'll be live. You'll be able to see me, and it'll be like smell-o-vision almost.
I know when I Googled your name when you wanted me to start working with you, and I was like, I don't know if this guy's legit. He sounds like he's a creeper. I Googled your name and your picture came up, and then I saw you in person for the first time. You don't look anything in person like you do
That's
on your
right.
videos, because you've obviously lost a lot of weight and you're in shape now. So you must have been like pregnant
No,
or something when
here's
you were
what I
doing
do.
the videos.
Is because I've learned from my mistakes. So what I do is I set everyone's expectations lower, and then when they see me, they're like, "Oh, this guy's actually pretty good looking." See, that's
No, I didn't
smart.
say
Pretty
that.
smart.
I did not say that you're pretty good looking. What I said was you were fat in the videos, and when I saw you in person, you had lost some weight.
Why do you have to
Okay,
body
so
shame my man Andros over here? Why you got to body shame the man?
that was a compliment. I don't want people out there to think that he's fat anymore, because he's not. Like, I think he was having a sympathetic pregnancy when his wife was pregnant with the
Which was
son,
like 4
and
years ago.
during the sympathetic pregnancy, he ate like a pregnant woman, got really fat, obese almost, and then he lost all the weight. And I'm proud of him.
That's so true. Do you know why? Do you know why that is? Because when you have a pregnant wife and she says at 2 a.m, you know what? I'm really in the mood for cheese toast. You're like, all right, cheese toast for you, and I'll have a cheese toast.
That's exactly right.
And that's what happens. And you know this. Do you know this?
I know this as well.
Justin,
I know this as well
true?
because I also had the pregnancy gain. So and I'm trying to reverse that cycle myself now. So there was definitely a boost.
Yeah.
There was definitely a boost that happened from sympathetic pregnancy. It's a real thing. It's not just just in your head.
It really is. So you can put that in your LinkedIn profile as But I actually you did hit one point, which is I do need to update my LinkedIn profile, Gwen, and that's because I am starting a brand new endeavor that I can't talk about right now with you and Justin. And
Please, just a little bit. Give us a hint.
All I can say is this: is that we are about to launch something that is going to reshape how business is done, and I cannot. That we're in the early stages of it, but it's exciting, and we've had some high level conversations about this. And it's that's all I can talk about. But in the meantime,
I think
we don't want to set
that was a good.
We don't want to set the expectations. We don't want to set the expectations too high. But this is going to change the world.
I think. Right. I think that you hinted. Okay, in every episode we should drop a hint, and you said something that was pretty profound. Early stages. Early stages could be keywords to what we're going to be rocking you with.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right. But in the meantime, you have this, and we also have the LinkedIn Mastery course. So let's go over the LinkedIn Mastery course a little bit, because I just want to touch on that. And if you and again, for all of our listeners, if you have any sort of questions about this, you can reach out to us on LinkedIn. In fact, I don't know if you know this, but we've had some really awesome little reviews on our podcast. If you go to the iTunes store, we have someone named Even Gim who has said that, as always, Justin Womack brings great content to quick to consume and insightful. Thanks a lot. 5 stars.
Wow, I like that guy.
Yeah.
That guy's smart.
Woo, smart
That's
guy.
a really smart. Wow,
Yeah.
smart listener.
Bruce Michael,
Very
25, said motivational, inspiring, and great empowerment. Really an inspirational for entrepreneurs. 5 stars. People are listening to this. I'm
Wait a minute, Andros. Did anybody say anything about Gwendolyn?
Let's see. We also have.
Okay, where's the gong? Is this the gong show?
I don't have a gong. Andros, do you have a gong?
I've got.
No.
That's all I got. So, all right.
So the listeners don't like me. You're going to kick me off the show. All the money I'm making,
No way.
To help the needy in Africa, it's just like going away.
No way.
Yeah,
You're
I get
gonna,
it.
We might have to cut your salary, Gwendolyn. If you don't bring in more listeners, we'll have to cut your salary.
We're only using you for
All
Oprah.
right.
We're only using you for Oprah. So basically, to sum up the LinkedIn thing, here it is that if you want to use LinkedIn to listen to our previous podcast where we talked about ways to develop your LinkedIn profile, ways that you can use LinkedIn to leverage your knowledge to be a thought leader in whatever area you are wanting to be well known for, and when we do the LinkedIn Mastery course, if you go to linkedinmasterycourse.com, you can register for it. We're going to show you how to develop a master LinkedIn profile that will guaranteed get you jobs, get you interviews, like what you need to do that. And so again, this is a free service that we're just doing for everybody here. But
we're gonna
now
fill in the gaps a little bit too. So we've talked about a lot of these subjects slightly. We've gotten into them. We've hinted at them. During the live course, we're actually going to be able to show video. So we'll do screen shares where you can actually see how some of this stuff gets done. And I think that'll make some things a little bit more clear. So when you actually come on the course, you'll get to visually watch how some of this stuff gets done in person. And then we'll also take everything a little bit deeper than we've done here. So it's going to be pure LinkedIn content. There'll probably be a little bit less hearing stories and things like that, but we might do a little bit of that still. But it'll be mostly content.
That's right. That's right. And speaking of which, I want to switch gears a little bit here because this is the Marketing Geeks, our spoiler-free review for Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Speaking of acronyms, let's talk about the MCU.
That's right. That's right. And MCU.
Gwendolyn, what's the MCU?
I have no idea. I'm like taking notes. I have my pencil, I have my notepad. Me, I write all the time. I'm a writer by nature. MCU.
This one's very important. So make sure to get your pen and paper ready.
I got it.
Ready. Here it comes. You ready?
Yeah.
Marvel Cinematic Universe. Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah. Before you go to Burning Man with us, you have about 20 films to watch. That's all. Well, you still got 20 films to watch.
Sorry.
So, Ant-Man and the Wasp. Justin, tell me what you thought. Your opinions of it was.
I thought it was a fun movie. It was loosely tied into the general story of the overarching MCU story. Obviously, it had to predate Infinity War, so that was kind of obvious going into it because otherwise everybody would be missing in action. So it was a fun movie. If I had to rate it, I would give it probably a B or a B minus. I didn't love the film, but I did have a good time. I had a good time watching it. Paul Rudd is always he's always entertaining in the role. So it was good, not great. That's my general opinion of the film without getting into spoilers, which I will do if you tempt me.
Yeah, it was. I agree. Good movie, not a great movie, but it was fun. And the one thing I could say about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they're consistent. And every time I've plunked down money to see one of those movies, I always have a good time. But on that note, sadly, we had a firing. James Gunn was fired from his own franchise.
Yeah, that was shocking.
That was shocking.
That was actually really shocking.
I just want to cover a little bit about what happened because this is very, very interesting. And this does cover marketing a little bit and politics. So for those of you who do not know, James Gunn was the director of the first two movies that in the
Guardians of the Galaxy and Guardians of the
Galaxy 2. He had already written the script for Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and that was getting ready to shoot. And then something happened, and that was that some old tweets were dug up from like 10 years ago where he joked about, I got to admit the jokes were a little disgusting. He talked about, they were pretty bad. I read the tweets in question, but you know what? Well, this is what happened. There was a guy whose name is Mike Cernovich, and Mike Cernovich is basically the guy who was behind Pizzagate. He was the guy that brought like the. Oh man, let me tell you something. I went down that rabbit hole. I went all the way down that rabbit hole. I looked at all the research and I can honestly say that there's a lot of inferences there. There are things that make you go, That's interesting. But one of the biggest things that they say, it was basically that that there was a certain subset of people who said that there was a torture chamber inside of a pizza restaurant that was connected to Hillary Clinton, and that was like a sex trafficking ring, and it got into this, you know. But one of the pieces of evidence that they cited was the fact that the Clinton campaign was giving large amounts of money to this pizza restaurant for some strange reason. Well, she was running a presidential campaign. And when you have presidential campaigns, you have volunteers. What do you feed your volunteers?
Yeah, you feed them a lot of pizza because it's cheap.
And how do you pay for that pizza? With money, right? So there's going to be money.
Here we go. Sticking up for Hillary.
The question would be now, if we were to look at other campaigns, now are they also spending similar amounts on pizza? If we were to look at statistical analysis here, how out of the ordinary are we talking here? I mean, that's the real question. But I don't want to get into pizza.
Yeah.
Let's talk about
this actually is connected because this guy named Mike Cernovich, he was pushing
the founder of Pizza.
Well, he was one of the big pushers, and I'm not saying that it didn't happen or did happen. I'm not touching that. All I'm saying is that this guy was one of the guys who was like putting that information out there, and he also attacks people on a regular basis who don't like President 45. So what he did was he went back to James Gunn's tweets and went through all of his tweets all the way back to look for anything that could ruin this guy. So he basically found these tweets and started putting that information to sway public opinion. And this goes into marketing because this is a brilliant piece of marketing. If you want to destroy someone, this is one way to do it, is go back and look at everything that you have online, find those things that could be incriminating, and then take it to somebody who could possibly hurt your career or fire you. So the moral to this story is, if you intend to work for Disney, whether you're Roseanne Barr or James Gunn, delete your Twitter account. Just delete it.
Yeah, seriously. Just don't have a Twitter account. I mean, how hard is that for people? This is a mistake that happens over and over and over. Now, let's talk about like Roseanne versus James Gunn here, because so Roseanne, her tweet was it happened while her show was on the air, so it was a newer thing, whereas James Gunn's were
10 years ago.
Or 10 years ago. So the question is, should that matter? Number one, because they're totally, one of them is current, one of them is in the past. But then if you look at James Gunn, though, he also, when Roseanne Barr was getting fired, he also attacked her, and and he had some tweet about like how she should be fired for her tweet, which I think is kind of ironic. If people with, I get that his were done in humor, but it's also a little
right. So the moral to this story is that when and it's just an interesting thought process, because and this goes into like how you do marketing, and that like wherever you go, whenever you're posting something, and this goes back to like even my article that I posted on LinkedIn about how I partied with my 2-year-old, right? If I ever am up for a position that has to do with like, I don't know, something that like anything that could be taken the wrong way, what your digital trail can be looked at in a certain way and then brought to somebody later who doesn't like you and wants to destroy you.
Which is why we disavow Marketing Geeks. We were never on this show.
None of us were on the show ever.
Well, as a mandated reporter for child abuse, I think I do need to report you now that I know this, Andros. It's a very inappropriate place to bring your son, from what I understand. I've only seen pictures of places like Burning Man, and I know that I don't like the hot desert, so there's no way I would go there. But, the fact that you brought your son, first of all, in a hot desert, and some of the antics that go on there,
well,
I
do you know
would
why?
have to hotline you.
This is a very good question. Why would I bring my kid? Because a lot of people say, well, isn't that like a big sex and drug fest at Burning Man? Yes, it is, but
of course
it is. But see, the thing is that we live in a society where, unfortunately, parents do not teach their kids how to party, right? And so what happens is their kids will come up to their parents and say,
"Speak for yourself. My parents taught me how to party. Speak for yourself.
That's true. That's true. But I think most don't. And are you okay, Justin? I think he just fell over. Justin, are you all right? I think he's been partying too hard. Justin,
I'm okay. I'm okay.
He just pulled a Kramer.
He just took too much. But to answer the question is, what better place to address those things with your kids? So when your kids are out during the day, and if they see something that may be inappropriate, at the end of the day, you debrief them and you say, was there anything today that you had a question about? Anything that bothered you? Anything that you were wondering about? Or if you see somebody who's completely high out of their mind, you could point to them and say, see that person over there? They probably took this. They probably took too much of it, and that's the reaction that they're having. So when they get into high school and they finally are offered this stuff for the first time,
high school?
they know what this is about.
They're being offered this stuff now in the 6th grade, 5th grade.
Oh my God. Yeah.
No, it's happening.
That's a little young. But you're right. You're right, though, Andros. I mean, I think when I grew up, the reaction was to hide everything and not share what's out there. And I think there's, I think then I had to learn it all by myself, and I had to make all the mistakes by myself instead of having a little bit of education around it. So, I mean, there's probably a happy medium, as there is with anything. But I do think if everything is kept from you as well, I do think that's not healthy too.
Exactly. And so plus, I want my kid to grow up around mad scientists like I did, because I grew up around a lot of mad scientists. So
you specifically definitely did.
So, all right. So we covered James Gunn. We covered our spoiler-free review. Also, you saw the preview for Aquaman and Shazam. If you haven't seen those.
Yeah, I did. So Shazam is like the movie Big, but for superheroes, it looks like now. So I never read Shazam. I'm not familiar with the comic book at all. I'm like, the movie is the first reference for me that I've even heard of Shazam. Did you read the comic? Are you familiar with the story or anything like that?
There's a kid, he gets superpowers. I don't know, whatever. Fuck, they're all the same, aren't they? I mean, really, at the end of the day.
Well, I will say that the costume looks super cartoony in this movie. So I think they're going the polar opposite of what they did with the Batman vs Superman and Justice League. They're going the polar opposite, super lights and warm-hearted. So we'll see. That might work. It might blow up in their face. Maybe it'll attract kids. I don't know.
DC needs some levity, for sure. But
Aquaman, too much CGI in Aquaman for me.
Yeah,
too much.
So I want to find out who out there saw the content coming from Comic-Con. And this is kind of interesting because from a marketing perspective, Comic-Con, when I was a kid and my dad would go to Comic-Con, and I was there as a little boy growing up. My dad would sign autographs and whatever for his books. But the movie industry realized that it's a great place to release like sneak preview trailers and get the word out and get things viral.
How many people were there back then? Like, how many people were at Comic-Con when you would
go?
Oh
God, I don't remember, but it wasn't like a phenomenon like it was now. I mean, people did,
like probably hundreds, right?
No, there was
not like tens of thousands.
No, there was a few thousand, but it wasn't anything like it was now, where you just could not get anywhere near the place. And but the movie industry, back then, the movie industry did not really consider science fiction as a marketable industry. It didn't consider it like anything that they can make money off of. And of course, Star Wars changed all that. But I'd like to find out what our listeners think about the new content coming out of there, because a lot of it's going viral, and it's a great marketing technique. But and we also want to find out about what you're most excited about for the coming.
And don't forget to go to the LinkedIn Mastery course on August the 1st. So let's not forget.
That's right. So all right. Well, that concludes this episode of Marketing Geeks
and the Fashionably Chic.
Marketing Geeks is filmed in front of a live studio audience.
The Marketing Geeks and the Fashionably Chic is brought to you by the LinkedIn Mastery Course. And we want to thank all of our 7 listeners who've been so supportive. And if there's anything we can do for you, we love giving back. Connect with us on LinkedIn. Ask us a question. We will answer you. We want to help you. We want to help you all succeed. So
if you or a friend have a problem with marketing, call our hotline 1-800-MARKETING-GEEKS now. We can help you get better.
Until next time, everyone.
I am Justin Womack. Stay classy.
Thank you so
love you
very,
all.
very
Peace
much.
out, friends. And hey, say something nice about me.
Bye-bye. Oh, yeah. Say something nice about Gwendolyn because she's very nice.